My journey and miracle. I start this off by saying I hope that you will watch until the end. I wanted to create this video so that maybe it will help someone out there struggling with anxiety, depression, or their faith. So a bit of a backstory here before we get into what happened. I have dealt with anxiety and depression from around somewhere between high school and college until now. It got increasingly worse over the years to the point that I wasn't even living my life. I was in constant fear of everything I did not have control over. One of my highest anxieties was health-related issues, probably because my mom had dealt with cancer off and on for over 20 years of her life. She passed away about 6 years ago, which was another life-changing moment. I was at a part-time job because that is all I could do with my anxiety and depression, and also had just lost my cat of 14 years to aggressive bone cancer. I started to have really severe pain, going from my back to this pinching pain in my hip. I had back issues in the past off and on. One time it put me down for almost 7 months. I tried to take something for the pain at first and thought it would go away because these things usually work themselves out after like 2 weeks. At this point, I went to the doctor and she wanted to have an MRI, which was too scary for me to do. She said to give it 4 weeks, if it was not better by then, to come back to see her. I did agree to get an x-ray, which showed I had severe disc degeneration and arthritis throughout my spine. I believe she was a godsend in my life because she has excellent bedside manner and knew how to talk with me with my high anxiety. I had not been to a doctor in 6 years because I was too afraid, and my fear was stronger than knowing what was going on. And I always just said I would rather not know. Well, it did not get better, so they suggested physical therapy in the pool. I went to pool therapy for 8 months and only had a week with no pain. The rest of the time I was on pain meds almost 24/7. As I was going, I was praying that things would get better, and it was not helping. My physical therapist didn't know why it wasn't working. They were amazing, by the way. I got to the point where I could not sleep on my side anymore, and only my back, as well as my feet and ankles were swelling really bad every day, after only being up about 30 minutes. I also had started to lose weight, which I just thought was from therapy. I also, at the time, became lactose intolerant with massive stomach cramps and sore stomach muscles for days. As I was losing more weight, one day as I was laying on my back, I felt a lump in my stomach on the right side. I was terrified immediately and my anxiety was through the roof, as it was for most things. I did not know what it was and I did not want to get it checked. I needed to call my doctor about something else and was not going to tell her about this, but at the end of the conversation, I just broke down crying and told her. She said it might be a fatty tumor from losing the weight. I went in to see her and she was pushing around to feel it. I had only felt it on my right side and thought it was the size of a round ball. Well, when she felt around, it was much larger than that. She was concerned and said she wanted me to get this checked out that week. I was again terrified beyond words. She wanted me to have a CT scan now. Remember, this is someone that is highly afraid of even going to the doctor. Also, another big anxiety was taking any medications. I had a terrible experience when I was younger with side effects. I had taken a drug for losing weight that my mom wanted me to take, and I ended up having 9 out of the 10 side effects in one day. They wanted me to drink some liquid for the scan, as well as you have to have iodine for the scan. At the time I left her office that day, I was numb and terrified. The same day I had the scan, my doctor called me at the end of the day. She said it was a large mass and it was attached to one of my ovaries. She then had me go for blood tests to check for cancer markers. I shut down and went from no feeling to terrified. I then started asking people to pray. I am a Christian woman, but my faith was always lacking because of my anxiety and depression. I have always felt a lot of shame with this because how am I to be a witness to someone else about my faith if I don't even really trust fully in God myself? My problem was allowing my anxiety and depression to get bigger than God in my life. It came back with a high indication that it could be cancer. This was overwhelming for me. Imagine one of your worst fears coming true. You know, they say that 99% of the things we worry about never come true, but yet I got that 1%. It tested my faith more than anything in my life. I had experienced so many anxieties in my life where I would just ignore it and run from it, but this I could not run from. It was a horrible existence, and I was also at the point where the pain had gotten so bad. I had been dealing with it for so long, and I really hate to say this, but at that point, I didn't even want to be alive if I had to live with that pain anymore. I mentally could not deal with things at all at this point, and just had my sister or husband talking with people for me. By the way, I had at this point over 100 people praying for me, and some I didn't even know. I had to then go see a surgeon. Come to find out, the surgeon I had was so good he had people coming from out of state to see him, and he did 90 of these surgeries a month. He is amazing. By the grace of God, I got through it. He said it was 50-50 chance whether it could be cancer or not, and he wouldn't have to do an exploratory surgery. This was all within 3 to 4 weeks' time when I first went to see my doctor about the lump. He said once we did the surgery, they would test it while I was in surgery and then go from there. I was also told that I would have to have a full hysterectomy. I did not know when I was going to have the surgery, and they said I might have to wait a month. I was beside myself, literally, and also could not even fathom sitting there for a month waiting and thinking about everything that was going to happen and what I still did not have answers about. I was blessed to get it in only a couple of weeks. Also, all of these appointments I had to go alone because of COVID restrictions at the time. I was the type that needed someone to go with me to an appointment because my anxiety was so bad that I wouldn't even know what was sad. I had more tests in that 3 to 4 weeks than I had ever had in my life, and each one was a lot for me. CT scan, blood tests, MRI, chest x-ray, EKG. I have way too many things to say about the week I was in the hospital, but we'll give you a brief overview. I was very concerned about if I would even live through the surgery because of my weight and the size of the tumor. I had a nurse who was kind to me going in and sat with me and prayed with me before surgery. I thank God I made it through that surgery. I was only supposed to be in for 3 days, but they will not let you go until you pass gas. I had been cut from above my belly button, around it, and down. They brought in a portable x-ray machine and put me on my side to check if I had an obstruction. I had a small blockage, and they gave me stuff for it, which made me sick. I did get out after 5 days, and I was so ready to leave. I want to add this because it touched me so deeply. My husband was so upset he could not come see me that whole time, and one day they were trying to give me an IV, and I had to put the phone down, and he heard me being in pain from that and said he wanted to come down. I said again, "You won't be able to come see me," and he said, "I don't care. Even if I can't see you, I can at least be near you." He came down and stood outside the building downstairs, outside my room, and I just stood there crying tears of joy even though he could not see me. I sent him a picture of my view. Here's another kicker. 2 days after I got out of the hospital, people could go visit again. I believe things happen for a reason. I went to see the surgeon after getting out of the hospital. It was ovarian cancer, and the tumor was the size of a football. It was not a severe advanced stage, and it had not spread. Miracle. I then needed to start seeing a hematology oncologist, which is a blood doctor. He said with the stage it was at, I could decide if I wanted to have chemo or not. He gave me 80% chance because of my age and health, and that it would only give me a 10% chance. I thought about the lifelong side effects and damage it might do for only that small percentage. Now, remember that pinching pain I had so bad that was coming from my hip and back? After surgery, that was completely gone. Swelling in my feet and ankles, gone. Only by the grace of God and all the people praying for me did I get through all of this. In the Bible, it talks about the peace that passes all understanding. I truly had that. When I walked through those doors of the hospital for the first time, having my first major surgery, not knowing if it was cancer, and the one time in history you could have not had anyone with you because of COVID, I did this alone. You know, I had prayed for so long that God would break these chains of anxiety in my life, and so I think he was like, okay, you are going to go through this, just me and you, and I will take care of you. And he did. Whatever you want to call it, whether you believe or not, you call it supernatural, and I would call it the grace of God and a miracle. I was so overwhelmed by the love and support, not only from people I knew and loved, but those that didn't even know me, sending cards, flowers, and words of encouragement, even if I was not able to respond. It meant so much to me. After coming home, it took a year to completely heal, and now I am currently 2 years free from cancer. Praise the Lord. I pray to be cancer-free the rest of my life. Since then, I have been pushed headfirst into menopause. And boy, that is a fun ride. Not. I have since then gone back to work and have been through 2 skin cancer surgeries as well. I also had a scare with something they found on a mammogram ultrasound they had been looking at for over a year. That is also completely gone from my last test a month ago. Praise God. I go to my regular checkups now every 6 months, and every appointment I go to brings up all the memories. And is this going to be clear? But I continue to do the right thing by getting things checked out. Pray and trust God. Now, I am by no means completely anxiety and depression free, but I can tell you without a doubt that facing this has built my faith and lessened my anxiety over 80%. I can't even explain to you unless you know what it is like to live with that much anxiety, to be able to just enjoy a ride somewhere and not be stuck in your head the whole time with fear and what ifs. I say and tell you all of this so that maybe even if I can help one person, it was worth telling my story. I got through this and I'm so thankful and much, much stronger than I was before. We are not guaranteed the next 5 minutes of our life. We take so much for granted. Be thankful when you get up every day with breath in your lungs. Also, tell people how you feel about them. Tell them you love them or give them a hug or why you appreciate them. We go to funerals saying how much we cared about that person or things that they did that made us happy. Why don't we do that when they are alive? Life is so short. Be excellent to each other. I was literally at the end of my rope with all of this. Being faced with all of this and nothing anyone could say could take it away or make it better. No matter where you are at in life, it can change. Sometimes drastically, but also turn out amazingly better. Just take life one day at a time. Live your life and find things that make you happy. Find tools to help you with what you're struggling with and reach out for help if you need it. I believe we go through things like this not just to make us stronger, but to help others that might be going through the same thing. My goal now is to help others that might be going through something like this, whether it's anxiety, depression, or just trying to build your faith and encourage you in some way. I have had the chance to start doing this already and hope I am helpful. God bless you, and thank you for taking the time to listen.